Hi, welcome back to my channel. My name is Cynthia, and today we're going to be making this very beautiful gown. I have worn it now for a friend's wedding. I was a bridesmaid and I wore it for a dinner reception. And just keep watching, like, share, subscribe, and let's. Okay, so I'm going to be using two fabric like you saw at the beginning of the video. I'm going to be using Korean crepe. That's what it's called. So these are the measurements I'm going to be using. So just like normal, we're going to be pinning down our pattern paper. As you saw at the beginning of the video, it's kind of like a tube gown with straps. You can as well remove the straps and tuck it in if you want it to just be a strapless gown. So we're going to be taking the measurements from there. So we're going to be taking 6 inches off the tape rule and starts on the starting line, putting the 6 inches on the starting line. We're going to go ahead now and take our horizontal measurement. So again, putting your tape rule on the starting line 6 inches, we're going to take our bust point, which is 10 inches, on that bust point, which is 13 inches, and the shoulder to waist length, which is 17 inches. We're going to just square that out. I'm always going to say, to make the best and most accurate line, you should actually take your measurement at the two ends, maybe at the beginning and at the end of the your paper, and you square it out to get the best accurate measurement. So we're just going ahead now to label our lines, bust line, under bust line, and waistline. And after doing that, I'm going to be taking my dart line. Remember, your dart line is nipple to nipple. So measure your nipple to nipple and divide that by 2. The measurement I'm using right now, the nipple to nipple is 7. So divided by 3, we are going to get 3.5. Make a straight line there, just square it out. So after doing that, we're going to be taking the dart now. So my dart is 1.25. Now, for a bigger person, you can go 1.5, but for a smaller person, you can go 1. I'm taking 1.5, and for the other leg of the dart, we're taking half an inch, just like normal. So again, please don't make a mistake and go overboard at the two side or do 1.25 at the two side. No, please, half an inch at this side. I'm just making sure my measurement was accurate. So you go down and square your line, and 1.25 at the side. Again, making sure everything is accurate. 1.25 and square it down. So after doing that, having done that, now you're going to go ahead and take your tape rule and measure 1 inch down. Just exactly what I'm doing, just do that. And you take your French curve or your armhole curve and you connect the dots or connect the lines on both sides. So you do that on the two sides. And this side is going to be a little bit more curvy, obviously, because of it's 1.25 for that measurement, while the other side is half. It's going to be less curvy, but that's fine. Just go ahead and make your measurement. So for the top measurement now, you're going to go ahead and take half an inch on the normal side, the half an inch side, and take 1 inch on the other side. The side that has 1.25, you're taking 1 inch, and you go ahead and roll that down with your French curve, not your ruler, or to curve that down rather than roll that down. And so when you do this, we are halfway done for the front pattern. So we're going to go to the side, front side where the armhole is, and you're going to measure 0.75 downwards, and you draw a curve. We're doing this because this is not a full shirt, it's kind of like a tube top. That way it's not restricted. There's a little bit of movement space for you to move your arm, and everything sits nice. So we're going to go ahead and take our circumference measurement. My bust, or the bust measurement I'm using, is 36 divided by 4. It will give you 9 inches. So that's what you're going to take here, and then you add 1.5 for the dart line we took, for the dart we took out. We're going to do the same on the bust. Our under bust circumference is 30.5 divided by 4, you have 7.6. So we're going to take that measurement and also add our dart that we took out. And for the waist measurement, we have 7. Also adding our dart, we have 1.75, and we're going to rule that out or curve that out, because it's not going to give you a straight line, it's going to be a curved line, just because you know our body is not all straight. So you curve that out with wherever ruler you have. And yeah, so this is the side front, and the other side is going to be the side the center front. And I'm just going to cut that out and see the way it's looking. Yeah, so we're going on to the back, and just like I did for the front, we're going to take our starting line, and I'm just going to roll that out just to have a clear direction of where we're starting from. And yeah, and we are going to be having 1.5 for our zipper allowance. So that is basically the first thing you're going to draw for the back, because we can't have a gown without a zip. Although yes, there are gowns without zips, but our gown has a zip, so we have to put allowance for that. So every measurement we're going to be taking is going to start after the zipper line. And again, we are going to be taking all our measurements. So from 6 inches, again, we're going to take 10 inches for our bust point, and we don't need under bust because obviously it's the back. And we're going to be taking our 17 inches for the waist, and we're going to square that out like we did for the front. So unlike the front, we have just 2 lines apart from the starting line. So we're going again to take our nipple to nipple measurement here. That is the dart line, and again that's 3.5. We're measuring 3.5, and we are going to square that out. So after taking that measurement, now we are going to be taking our dart line, which is going to be 1/2 inch on both sides. So just like normal, we are going to go and take 1/2 inch, and we are going to rule the leg of our dart, just a straight line. There's no big deal, no mathematics going on here. So you just do as we've been taught, 1/2 inch on both sides. So I noticed that the other line was a little bit smaller, and I went back to redraw my line again, or just make it a little bit thicker, the lines. That way it looks better. Okay, so the back is actually the easiest part. And again, circumference of your bust, that is 9. I'm going to be taking that measurement for the bust, and for the waist part, 7. Then add your dart line. So I didn't take any allowance in any of these measurements, in any of this pattern I was making. I didn't put allowance in any of that. So just remember, you're going to be putting it on the fabric, or you can as well, before cutting it out, you can as well put your allowance, but I didn't do that here. So for the zip parts, you know, because of our spine is not straight, we have to make allowance for that, or rather take in taking the back part, that way it sits nicely without bulging out. So we're going to go 1/2 inch in and just roll it out. Just do exactly what I'm doing, and it's perfect. So we're going to come down at the top of the zip line by 1/2 inch, and you're going to curve that out just to give it a very nice curvy shape at the back. I made a boo-boo there, but that's fine. And we're just going to draw that out. The back is quite very easy. There was no labeling it. If you want, some people actually just cut everything out in 2 parts, but it's fine like this too. And so we have, at this point, we have 3 patterns that we've done. So we are going to be creating the what's the word for it, the hip part, the part for the hips. I don't know what to call it, but as you can see, it wasn't a straight gown. There was like a small skirt before the basque and before the flayed parts. So that's what we're creating now. We just need 1 part for it, and we're going to be putting the zipper allowance, and we're just going to fold it in while we create the main part. So when we're cutting it out, we're going to cut the front part and fold it like this. Then when we're cutting the back part, we'll bring out the zipper part. So from your hips to your waist, you measure that's about 8.58 inches for some people. So we're going to go ahead and take our waist measurements, which is 7 inches. We're just going to take it out, then take 1 inch for the dart allowance. So just in case you didn't see, I've also put my dart allowance, and that's 3.5. And for the waist, or for the hips rather, you take your hips measurement, which is 40. So 40 divided by 4, which is 10. And then we're just going to draw that out. So I'm just going to be drawing the leg of my dart now. So I'm just retaking that measurement now. So 3.5 again is my dart. So after taking the 3.5, we're going to come down by 5 inches. That's where the dart is going to end for this particular part. And we are going to square that out. Then we're going to draw in our dart legs. So just to make sure everything is accurate, I'm retaking the measurement, or I'm rechecking the measurement, and you square that down. And basically that's for the dart. Then we're going to go up by 4 inches, just to give it that curve that you saw in the beginning of the video. And we're just going to draw in our curve. Now there's something I want to make mention of before we keep going, or after we keep going. So I didn't put allowance on this, and I kind of put the allowance on the fabric, but it turns out that it was a little bit small, so I had to go ahead and make another of this particular skirts. I'm just going to call it a skirt. And so while you're doing this, I would advise you to add 2.5 inches extra, because I added just 1 inch extra for allowance. I'm going to advise you to do 2.5. That way it comes out perfectly and it aligns very well with the top part of the fabric. So just the same thing we did for our top, the back top. I'm going to make this ruling here. That way again the zipper part sits perfectly well on our body. And just watch exactly what I'm doing, and then I'm going to cut out that part. Again, when you are cutting this particular piece out on your fabric, add 2.5 extra allowance, not 1 like I did for the rest. Okay, so we have 4 pieces now, and we're basically good to go, and it's time for us to cut out on our fabric. We're going to be cutting out an estate too, and I don't think I mentioned this, but we're going to be using the same fabric for the lining. So we are going to cut the front part, the center front, on fold. That means you're going to fold it and cut it at the center, so there's not going to be any allowance at the front. But every other part we're going to be cutting, or rather the other sides we're going to be cutting them with allowance, just for joining everything back together. So we're doing 1/2 inch on the joining part. For the down part, we're going to be using 1 inch for both sides, and for the sides we're going to be using 1 inch also. So this is just basically it. While I have ironed the ST to the front, we are not using ST for the lining, just for the front part. So this is the lining for the front, and I've just pinned them down just to show you how it will look. And I'm just going to go ahead and sew that, and again show it to you. But before we go ahead and do that, we're going to go down 1/2 inch at the side of the front, fold them together including the lining, go 1/2 inch down, and we're going to cut this out again. We want it to sit very well at the armhole side, that way it's not looking awkward. So I'm just going to fine-tune it. So this is what it's giving. Again, just like I said, I have gone ahead to sew and join the fronts together, join the lining together, and I've pinned that down now. So I want you to see how it's going to look with the stay. I flattened that side down and I ironed it. So I used this thing, I don't know if you're able to see it before. There's something that I kind of made it, so we're just going to use that, and that's basically it for the front. Again, we're just going to sew it. Now look how neat it looks. So this is the front, this is the straps again 12 inches. We use 13 for allowance. For this colored strappy thingy that comes across at the front, I would advise you to use 5 inches. I used 4. I realized later on that I didn't put allowance for sewing, so it came out as 1.5 instead of 2. But yeah, it still came out fine though. I just notched that in the middle. and I'm just going to show you how to apply this to make sure everything turns out very accurate. So for the straps now, we're going to go in by 4.5, and we're going to just notch that. We're going to just notch that. This is where the straps is going to be. All right, so I'm just going to put that down now and pin that down, and we're going to hook, or rather we're going to attach the straps, and go to the sewing machine, and we're just going to sew on it. That way it comes out looking nice. We're also going to put the lining on top. It's just going to turn out very beautiful. So just do exactly what you see me do, and everything will turn out very nice. So I'm just going to go ahead and take this to the machine and sew it. Now look at how it looks. Okay, so we're going to go ahead now and focus on the back. We're going to first of all take our dart in. Now my advice to you, if you're using a fabric like mine that you cannot tell the back from the front, make sure you specify which part is the front, because you might just go and make the dart and turn everything into one. It's just going to be very, very great if you clarify which part is going to be the front and which part is the back. I made this mistake a lot when I was starting out. Anyway, so I'm just labeling the lining. That way I know which one I'm using for the main fabric and which one I'm using for the lining. And just like the front, I'm going to go ahead and from the zip part, I take in my 4.5 for the straps. So again, we're not taking it from the beginning of the fabric. Look at, I notched the zipper part, and that way I'm able to tell where I'm starting to take my measurement from. So I'm just nudging that ahead, and I'm going ahead to just show you exactly what it's going to look like when we put in our straps. So this is how it's going to look like. This is how you're going to attach your straps. So make sure you are seeing this part is quite intricate, so make sure you attach the straps like this. So you see the front part that is towards me, we're going to go ahead and put it the other way when you are sewing that down, just so it comes out nice. Then you're going to go ahead and sew the zipper part and the top part. That way it turns out like this. Just see how everything comes out nicely. And so our under bust is, remember, it's 13 inches, and we're going to where the under bust starts or stops, and we're going to measure our half length, shoulder to waist length, and you're going to add half an inch for allowance, and you're going to roll that down. Again, just watch what I'm doing, and we're going to make a straight line. These sides are all unnecessary now. The part we're going to cut that out, the part we're rolling out, right? So again, from the under bust, where the under bust is, take your tape rule and place it there. It's going to be wherever your under bust is. Mine is 13 inches, so I was just going to go ahead, or I just went ahead and placed it there, then measured my shoulder to waist measurement and added my half an inch. I hope that's very clear. So I go by the side and I take my measurement, and I make sure that the two sides are the same. Now remember, whatever you're doing for the front, for the main fabric, you're going to do it for the lining fabric as well. So I'm just going ahead to pin them down so that they are all in place. Everything comes out, or everything is in place together. I pin that down and I cut it out. Again, remember, whatever you do for the main fabric, you do for the lining fabric. So after doing this, I'm just going ahead to cut it out again. And as you're working, it's very much advisable to iron as you're working. So as you're working, as you're doing anything, there are sometimes I wasn't ironing because there were a lot of stains on the fabric, so I just didn't want to iron it. I have this meat. Anyway, so for the front now, again, I'm taking the measurement for the sides. That's 9.5, and I'm going to take the same measurement at the back. Remember, the back and front has to be the same, just because it has to meet. So whatever you get at the front, do it at the back, and then draw a straight line, and you roll. So people who are like me, who learn as they watch, I actually don't need to be speaking. You probably will just get it, but this is how we are doing. This is how some people learn. Some people are more like listeners, And so we're going to cut that out just to make sure the front and the back piece meet together at the side. So this is what it looks like now. This is basically what it looks like. It looks very nice at this point. It looks very good. So we're going into the next part. I'm just going to go ahead and call it the skirt part. So we're going to the skirt part. I'm just taking out the pins, and I have notched everywhere. That way we know what part of the skirt part we are going to take for the dart. So we have two sides for the front. Again, we're using the main fabric for the lining. So we have two parts for the front and 4 pieces for the back. So I'm just going ahead to notch it. I've gone ahead to close the lining, and for all the 6 parts now, because we have 6 parts, 2 for the front, 4 for the back. I'm just going to go ahead to notch it, and I'll fix it, or let me just show you how it's going to be. So make sure, now this is very, very important, make sure the darts all match together. That way you have a very neat finishing. As you can see, the dart does match together. The lining also has to match each other, just to have a very finished professional looking finishing. The front part matches, the dart matches with the skirt, that matches with the top dart. We're doing the same thing for the lining also. The skirt of the lining also, the dart matches the top of the lining dart. We're just going to go ahead and pin this down and take it to the sewing machine, and we're going to sew that down. What we're doing for the main skirt front, we're going to be doing it for the lining part. So this same thing we're doing, we'll turn it to the other side and do the exact same thing, and we're going to sew that down. That way it gives us a very nice finishing. Again, I'm just doing the same thing now. So this, what we did for the front, this is the lining part now. What we did for the front, we're just going to do that for the back, and I'm just going to pin that all the way down. So we're going to go ahead to the machine and we're going to sew that down. We're also going to do the same for the back. I'm going to show you how it's going to be done. So for the back now, you take your the 2 sides that match, the lining and the main fabric, right? So this is what it's going to look like. You take your see, this is just like this. But first of all, before we go ahead and do this, we are going to go ahead and sew the zipper part side. Do that for the lining as well. Do you understand that? Just go to the machine and do that. So first of all, this is what it's going to now look like. So we have joined the 2 pieces together, right? We'll turn it to the side, the front sides facing each other, and we pin that down. Again, the that should match. If the dart doesn't match, go and figure out a way to make sure the dart match, because the dart must match just to have a very nice finishing. So do that to the other side. Place the right sides together, pin that down, and we're going to go to the machine and we're going to sew everything together. This side is quite, I like the sides. This part is very easy and very, very rewarding to watch or finish rather. So this is how it turned out. Remember, all the that should match. I keep preaching this, but yeah, all the that should match. Because of the stain, I'm just pointing it out. I wasn't able to iron as much as I would have loved. I have this myth in my head that if you iron a stain, it stays there permanently. So I don't like ironing anything that's stained. The fabric is quite old. It's like 2 years I bought it, and that's why. Anyway, we're going to the gathered part now. We're going to the the fullness of the skirt. So I'm just going to be measuring 60 inches for the width, and you take your remaining full length measurement and whatever you have there. Mine is 58, so you minus the top part, and wherever you have minus, you measure that down for the full length. So I'm just carrying it to my machine to show you exactly what I'm doing. I put my machine at the loosest loosest stitch, and just made 2 stitches on the fabric I'm going to be gathering. Now I'm just doing the gathers. You just pull the thread, little thread, make sure you do it gently. If it cuts, you just have to start again from the beginning, meaning you have to remove whatever thread and start again, which is not ideal. Anyway, now this is the top part, and I want to show you how to attach the skirt part. Now we're going to go ahead and we've gone ahead rather and put the zipper, and we're going to close that down completely, just to make sure, because this is not a joining, the back is not, we're not joining anything at the back, everything is going to come in as one. So we'll find the middle parts, or rather I measured round the fullness of the short skirt, and mine was 27 inches, and I came to the gathered part and make sure everything was the same measurement. So the gathered has to be 27 inches as well. If yours is 24, you make sure the gathered is 24 inches. I hope you understand this. So everything kind of just aligned. At this point, I was getting really tired. I was on leave on this day, and I actually just wanted to rest, but I had to finish this. So I did the same thing for the back 27 inches. I just did that, and basically this is it. Now I've gone to the machine and I've sewn that, and this is what it's looking like. I'm going to also go ahead and use my weaving machine to close up and make sure everything looks very neat. So now is to join the sides together. Again, at this point I was really tired. I really was tired, and I just wanted to sleep. So I'm very sorry if I didn't show you on camera how everything turned out, but it turned out great. It turned out very beautiful, even more beautiful than the first one I made. So again, I'm going to go ahead and take the circumference of the bust, circumference of the waist, and I measure that and I close that up. So we've come to the end of our video, and please don't forget to like, subscribe and share. You can also leave some comments down. I'd appreciate it. Thank you for watching, and have a lovely day. Bye bye.